Hello shooters, it is ITW Firearms, and today we're going to be talking about my Ruger New Vaquero and .45 Colt and what got me into single actions. So this story begins when I was in Cody, Wyoming, working as a trail guide in the Shoshone National Forest, taking rides up and down the mountain. And I've talked a little bit about my time in Cody in my video about the 45, 70, and grizzly bears, but this video is going to be talking about what got me into the single action. So prior to getting to Cody, Wyoming, I really had no interest in single actions. The only pistol that I had at that time was a Walther CCP in 9mm, a little gray pea shooter, and that was my first pistol that I owned. And I think this kind of stems from my father wasn't really big into pistols. He's into shotguns, I'm into rifles, and pistols was just kind of the gray area for us. Neither of us had any great appreciation for them or great usage. And kind of the saying that my father and I always lived by was, a pistol is to get you to your main gun, or get you out of a situation to get you to your main gun. So he and I never really had big ownership into pistols at all, let alone single actions. So here I am working as a trail guide in Cody, Wyoming, and I'm carrying this Walther CCP 9mm and eventually my 45-70. And if you watch the video about my grizzly bear encounter in Wyoming, you hear me talk about the gentleman, Eric, my friend, who gave me the ammunition for the 45-70 when I started carrying it in the first place. So it was during that interaction when my friend Eric and I, who I'd met there at camp, started talking about cowboy guns, talking about lever actions, 45-70s, 30-30 Marlins and Henrys, and he showed me his Cimarron in .45 Colt, and it was that moment that I was captivated by single actions, and I was determined to acquire one by whatever means necessary. And you know, when you think of cowboy guns, you immediately go to a single action. And when you think of what would be appropriate to be carrying in bear country, a lot of people will say a 45 or a 10mm. And there are lots of different versatile cartridges that you can pick to use for carrying around in the bear country. But I was really looking to own my own single action after taking and holding that Cimarron. So the whole time I was in Cody, I continued to carry the Walther CCP 9mm, then my 45-70 in my scabbard. And it wasn't until I had left that outfit and moved into Montana that I even had an opportunity to hold another single action. So one of the guys that was working on the ranch that I took over and was the foreman on there in Montana when I moved operations, he had a Uberti Cattleman. No, excuse me, he had a Uberti El Patron, and I really loved it. He had it in .45 Colt, and it was a great platform. He brought it to work to show me. This young man was also into cowboy guns. He had a really awesome replica 12-gauge shotgun, looked like a stagecoach gun, and he had this Uberti El Patron, and so I'm fascinated by it. So this is when I get my first single action. So introducing my first single action, which is a Uberti Cattleman II that I acquired in a private sale in Montana. So I get to retire the Walther CCP, and I get an awesome starter pistol for my first single action army. So the Uberti Cattleman II fixed a lot of the problems that were existing with the Uberti Cattleman I. And I was really fortunate to be able to get this barrel length. I prefer this barrel length, just the overall weight and the aesthetic of the firearm. And now here I am. I'm carrying my Uberti Cattleman II and .45 Colt on the trail with me. It's right here on the side, or sometimes I would carry it cross draw, just kind of depending on what horse I was riding and what kind of duration we were riding for. Up there in the back country, right next to the Flathead National Forest there in Montana, northwest Montana. So now that I finally had my first single action, I'm shooting the world out of it. And what I was told about the Uberti line and what I found online is that it's not really optimized to handle higher loads. And so I was buying a lot of the cowboy action rounds in .45 Colt, and they were shooting pretty well. And it was pretty early on into owning that firearm that I blew a spring in it. It's responsible for rotation of the cylinder. I'll pull up a picture of exactly what the spring is. And I ended up replacing it with a Wolf spring that I got from Taylor Firearms, if I'm not mistaken. I love that single action. You know, I got to carry it on the job, and I was really looking to branch into another single action, and I had one that was kind of on my wish list, which was the Ruger New Vaquero. Because when you do your research into the single action world, and I'm not an expert by any means, but the Ruger Vaquero is just a timeless piece. And I was really torn between the Ruger New Vaquero, and Uberti came out with this line a couple of years ago of really nice engraved single actions, and they have one called the Teddy. I'll show a picture of it, and it's still on my wish list. But the Teddy is pretty hard to come by, as is the Ruger New Vaquero. And I wasn't really interested in a Ruger Blackhawk or any other Uberti or Cimarron lines. So introducing my Ruger New Vaquero in .45 Colt. So this Ruger New Vaquero shoots incredibly well. but it has some stark differences from my Uberti Cattleman II. And something that I found fascinating is that it's not a 3 or 4 click hammer. And to access spinning the cylinder, all you do is open your side gate and initiate spinning it. And I cowboy carry, so we'll keep it on an empty cylinder. But I got this Ruger New Vaquero as a graduation gift from college from my father. The price point is almost double that of a Uberti Cattleman or an El Patron. But as far as a timeless piece, it now put me at the point of having 2 single actions. But my journey with single actions has just begun. My experience thus far, the Uberti Cattleman II has been a great pistol. And you know what like I said, what you'll read on the internet is that they're not optimized to handle heavier loads. So carrying this new Vaquero, I can pretty much put whatever size cartridge that I want in it. And you check out the channel, I've got a couple of videos either carrying the Cattleman II or carrying the Ruger Vaquero. But ultimately what got me into single actions was putting my hand on one, getting to hold it and getting to feel it. That and knowing that a Walther CCP 9mm was not going to cut it in the line of work that I was in. But ultimately, shooters, it's been ITW Firearms. I hope you enjoyed the little video about what got me into single actions, a little bit of showcasing of that Uberti Cattleman II, as well as the Ruger New Vaquero. And if you want to see more, see some shooting content, it's going to be coming to you guys soon. And more videos really comparing and contrasting the Uberti line versus the Ruger New Vaquero, as well as a full review on the Ruger New Vaquero itself. Shooters, if you enjoyed watching, consider liking, subscribing to the channel, and dropping a comment. Do you own any single actions? And if you do, what got you into them? Thank you very much.